It's Monday, August 9. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom Gale. Island-wide vaccinations resumed Monday, August 9, while leave entitlements for at least some health staff may be deferred, as Jamaica continues its efforts to prevent illness and death associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. The resumption of vaccinations, meanwhile, follows a week-long vaccination blitz that saw more than 63,000 Jamaicans vaccinated. This brings the total number of vaccinations to some 372,911. Of that number, 240,472 are first doses, 131,554 are second doses, and 885 are single doses. The Health Ministry is seeking to administer some 700,000 doses of the vaccine by the end of September in pursuit of the target to have 65% of the Jamaican population vaccinated by March 2022. To become vaccinated, members of the public are encouraged to make their appointments online at www.moh.gov.jm. or call the Vaccination Call Center at 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. Once persons have received their appointment confirmation, they are to visit their vaccination site on time and with their TRN and government-issued identification or letter from a Justice of the Peace. Members of the public are encouraged to stay vigilant in their practice of infection prevention and control measures, notably mask wearing, maintaining physical distance from others, and frequently washing and/or sanitizing hands. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica, Statin, will be receiving some electronic devices to be used in the 2022 National Census. Statin recently signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information and E-Learning Jamaica Limited for the procurement of these devices. The initiative was discussed at a recent JIS think tank. Acting Chief Executive Officer of EJAM, Andrew Lee, says his organization is responsible for sourcing the goods.
Our responsibility in this project is to take the process through the tender process. There are 7,500 devices that are being procured. So there is a tender process which we would typically put out an ad to which potential vendors respond. Once they do, there is a process of evaluating those bids, those tenders, and then we end up selecting one of the potential vendors. But before we get to the actual final selection, there has to be a submission to cabinet. But before that, our board also has to review the process and ensure that everything works well. Then it goes off to cabinet for final approval, and then there's an award of contract to the person, the winner of the bid.
Deputy Director General of Statin, Leisha Delati-Boudier, says the devices procured by e-learning will be used by data collectors in the field.
We're doing the census for the first time on tablet computers. Statin has been using tablet computers to undertake our surveys since 2013. But the 2022 Population and Housing Census will be our first census using computer-assisted personal interviews. Now, as most persons would be aware, if we're going to be interviewing or enumerating the entire population, then we have to hire thousands of data collectors. And as such, we'll be needing to procure approximately 7,500 tablet computers. Now, when we started planning for the census about 5 years ago, one of the things we wanted to do was to try and forge partnerships, strategic partnerships, with various entities, both governmental and non-governmental, to make this census as efficient as possible.
She says the devices will be donated to the Education Ministry to support the Tablets in School program once the census is completed.
And of course, you know how important it is for children to have devices to continue their education, particularly now that we have COVID around and we don't know how long it's going to be with us. And in any event, students do need devices to continue or to carry out their education, the teaching and learning process.
The Statistical Institute of Jamaica was established under the Statistics Amendment Act 1984. One of the main functions of the institute is to collect, compile, analyze, abstract, and publish statistical information relating to the commercial, industrial, social, economic, and general activities and condition of Jamaicans. 2 Jamaican men who were missing at sea 2 weeks ago are now in the Cayman Islands after being rescued. A statement from the Maritime Authority of the Cayman Islands says on Saturday, the Jamaicans were spotted by a cargo vessel and assisted by Cayman Islands Coast Guard officers. The statement says the men appear to be in good health. The Jamaican consulate in Cayman has been contacted and is assisting with their welfare needs. Councillor for the Painland Division in Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation, Audrey Facey, has stepped down from her post. After 23 years of service, Ms. Facey says she is not leaving with sadness but with joy because of the number of lives she has touched. She told the Gleaner that she expects the next representative of the Painland Division to be someone who genuinely cares for the people. Painland is one of hundreds of inner-city communities in the country. Audrey Facey was known as the strongest of the 3 councillors working under former Member of Parliament of St. Andrew Southwestern, Mrs. Portia Simpson Miller. Mrs. Miller has been succeeded by Angela Brown Burke. Time now for the latest market updates in this quick business report with Gabriel Thompson.
In Friday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index advanced by 49 points to close at over 423,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 84 stocks, of which 27 advanced, 43 declined, and 14 traded firm. The Junior Market Index declined by 2 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for Barita Investments Limited, Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited, and Caribbean Cement Company Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Carreras Limited, and Community and Workers of Jamaica CCU Deferred Share. Trading firm were Access Financial Services Limited, Berger Paints Jamaica Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Future Energy Source Company Limited Ordinary Shares was the volume leader with over 1.2 million units, followed by Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with over 1.2 million units and Wigton Wind Farm Limited Ordinary Shares with over 1.1 million units. In foreign exchange trading for Thursday, August 5, the US dollar sold for an average $155.53. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $124.61. The pound sterling traded for $217.22, and the euro sold for an average $187.45. In market data for oil, prices fell by 4% on Monday, extending last week's steep losses on the backs of a rising US dollar and the concerns that new coronavirus-related restrictions in Asia, especially China, could slow a global recovery in fuel demand. A United Nations panel's dire warning on climate change also added to the gloomy mood after fires in Greece have razed homes and forests, and parts of Europe suffered deadly floods last month. Brent crude futures fell by $2.82 or 4.2% to $67.88 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell $2.85 to $65.43 after plunging nearly 7% last week. And on that note, we close this Monday edition of the Business Report Inside the News on PBCJ. I'm Gabriel Thompson. Pleasant viewing.
Here are some of the stories making headlines across the region. In Antigua and Barbuda, there was chaos in the heart of St. John's on the weekend as law enforcement resorted to using tear gas to disperse a group of protesters who flagrantly disobeyed instructions to leave the area. These self-proclaimed freedom fighters had taken to the street to protest over several grouses, including some COVID-19 safety measures. Rahib Aparico witnessed the standoff with the security forces.
Tensions were high on Market Street on Sunday as over 100 protesters under the banner of the Freedom Fighters took to the streets for their voices to be heard. However, ABS understands protesters did not receive permission for the event. Officers donned in riot gear stood at the other end of the street. A stalemate began. Multiple warnings were issued: disperse or be tear-gassed. With both sides refusing to give an inch, chaos quickly ensued. As the smoke from tear gas canisters blanketed the area, protesters were pushed further down Market Street, but not before returning fire with glass bottles and tossing the tear gas canisters back at the officers. They were pursued past Public Market to the bottom of Market Street. Placards were discarded as eyes filled with tears and breathing became difficult. Empty tear gas canisters littered the streets. Law enforcement slowly cordoned off the area, instructing everyone nearby to leave. When compliance was not forthcoming, force was used.
Just run your mask, ma'am, and go back this way.
At least one man was taken into police custody. Rakib Aparicio reporting for ABS News.
In Barbados, the Democratic Labour Party is seeking answers from government about the state of affairs at the country's primary healthcare institution. More from Barbados today.
DLP President Verla de Pisa wants to know whether the Queen Elizabeth Hospital has lost its accreditation, as well as an update on the state of the hospital's equipment. De Pisa made the queries as she addressed the DLP's Christchurch West Branch meeting last evening.
In these COVID times, we need to know what is going on with our healthcare. We need to understand what happened yesterday and today. Please clarify for us what is happening with the nurses at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital. And while you are at it, can you please tell us whether or not the Queen Elizabeth Hospital has lost its accreditation? Because that is the information being received. You say you can walk and chew gum? Show us that you can walk and chew gum. Tell us that you didn't drop the ball on OECD designation and also drop the ball on the QEH designation, and tell us what else you dropped the ball on whilst you are at it. Is it correct, the information being received, that apart from losing accreditation, machinery is breaking down at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital because it is not being serviced?
In Trinidad and Tobago, complaints of slow sales continues to be the cry from food vendors almost 3 weeks after the sector reopened on July 19. Tyrianne Brown-Campbell visited the food strip at Cross Crossing.
There was a huge sigh of relief from both customers and business owners when it was announced that fast food and food carts would reopen. But weeks later, many of these small business owners are still struggling to make ends meet.
Things very slow. One, the other thing that kind of trigger in when vendors open and when vendors not open is the fact that the retail sector hasn't opened. So if the workers at the retail stores have not opened, then things obviously going to be a little bit sluggish.
Several of the carts TTT News visited have lowered their prices to attract customers, though the price of oil, sugar and other goods have increased across the country.
Well, it was different as we expected. We expect a little work and people like missing street food and things. But right now, well, it's obvious nobody have money and people like kind of broke right now.
Food cart operator Joseph Louisa says the new no parking signs and constant policing is also negatively affecting sales.
Normally they close in the evening after 6, it does start to get busy. But we have until 7:30 to close. So as soon as the people started to come, who are customers about the close, when they come, that is time for we to close.
With no place to park, many customers don't stop. But with the word from the other side of the window, one customer says when he sees a crowd, he tends to head for a quieter food cart.
Typically, we usually buy food
every weekend. But in terms of COVID and the situation right now, I mean, it's not really too much you could do. The only problem is a lot of people pile up in big groups. You know, it's not the social distancing and stuff like that.
With the opening up of the retail sector on August 16th, most of the food vendors at Cross Crossing expressed hope. They believe that with more persons out to work, there will be more people with cash to buy food. Terry Ann Brown Campbell, TTT News.
In sports, Jamaica's rich track and field history, which was spawned at the 1948 London Olympics with Arthur Wynn's gold medal, continues to flourish. Our athletes return home with 9 medals from the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Planning has begun to celebrate Jamaica's Olympians.
I want to thank the athletes for their performance. They were able to still make Jamaica look good and make Jamaica proud. I mean, there were some iconic moments that were very moving, very touching, and we will be celebrating. We are going to celebrate each and every one of those athletes.
In true Jamaican style, we will be celebrating our athletes. We're thinking of October. By then, we're hopeful that most Jamaicans would have taken the vaccines. As you are aware, up to the end of September, we would have had about 1.4 million doses of vaccines that will be coming into Jamaica. We're encouraging everyone to take the vaccines. Of course, we want our school children to go back to school. We want our athletes to be training, and we want to be able to celebrate our athletes as a nation as well. So what I will say is that, listen, from Shelley to Elaine to Hansel, to Ronald, Sharika, Megan, we will be celebrating all our athletes. So we just want to big them up. And as I've said, it's, yes, winning a medal, it's great, it's phenomenal. Each athlete is a brand. And I want all our athletes to remember that you yourself are a brand. But again, just by virtue of competing in the Olympics, you are an Olympian, and that makes you a champion. And a grateful nation salutes all of you.
One of the standout moments at the just concluded Tokyo Games was Hansel Parchment winning the 110-meter hurdles in a stunning upset. Carol Francis tracks his triumphant return to Jamaica.
When the flight from Montego Bay St. James touched down at the Tinson Aerodrome in Kingston, a welcoming party was on hand to greet the 110 meters hurdles 2020 Olympic champion, Hansel Parchment. Parchment added the Olympic gold to the bronze medal he won at the 2012 London Games in his season's best time of 13.04 seconds. Jamaica's Ronald Levy copped the bronze medal in 13.10 seconds. After a brief meet and greet at the Tinson Aerodrome, Parchment loaded up his car and headed to the AC Marriott in Kingston for a quick press conference.
I'm Hansel Parchment, Olympic gold medalist, finally. I just want to say it was fun. Really went out and enjoyed myself, and put in the work that I've been doing over the months preparing for the Olympics to good use, and came out on top. And I have a lot to give thanks for all the people who have been supporting me along the way, coach, family, friends, and God, of course. I have to mention that. And, just the support that everybody is giving me. I would like to see that for all the athletes as well. It's tough, to be an athlete. It's tough to go out after months of preparation and not get the result that you wanted. So it would be really good for us as a nation to, give the support to everybody, and build that team spirit. So the next time around that we go out there, we will know that the support is strong and the support is real.
Watching from a distance, seeing our athletes on the world stage, not only the timing of it, because we need some good news during this COVID period, not just because it was our Independence weekend and holiday weekend, but just the superstardom that came out of Team Jamaica, our Olympians at the highest levels competing, second to none. So for my team and I at Sandals Resorts International, it's an absolute pleasure. As the group voted world's best, to host the absolute world's best on the athletics field. So we are so proud. We can't wait to show you guys the way you showed us how you can do your thing. We can't wait to show you how we're going to take care of all our athletes in true fine world-class Jamaican hospitality.
I don't know if many Jamaicans realize how hard our athletes work and how difficult at times their lives are and the struggles that they have to go through. And when they go out there and run, they're not just running as an individual for themselves, but they're running for Jamaica. And sometimes when it doesn't work the way the people think it should, they criticize them. But if only they knew. And so today I want to make that special appeal to Jamaicans. The life of an athlete is not an easy one. And many athletes don't even have the kind of comfort that many Jamaicans have. But yet they struggle on and they train and train hard. And when they triumph, we must treat them with respect and shower them with love. And so today, we can't say to you thanks enough.
I think it's really important for corporate Jamaica to step forward and be a part of the conversation of the kind of respect, the kind of commitment and time that you are athletes or Olympians put into getting to the level you are. Clearly, you're born with a gift, but you had to polish that diamond and get yourself to the stages. And I don't think it's recognized by everyone every day, the kind of efforts and work that you put into being at the level you've gotten to. And certainly I'm not by any means an athlete, but in the corporate world, there's a similar style to it, where every day we're doing what we're trying to do to make ourselves the best of the best. And I stand here really proud today to have this opportunity to be able to share the Jamaican stage with you for a moment as one of the finest companies in the Caribbean and Jamaica with our athletics and our team. So big up yourself.
Parchment, who possesses a quiet confidence, is hoping to raise the sport's profile. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Carol Francis.
Another standout moment at the Olympics was Megan Tapper's third-place finish in the women's 100-meter hurdles. Marlon Samuels puts the spotlight on this indomitable Jamaican.
My name is Megan Tapper, 2020 Tokyo Olympic bronze medalist in the 100-meter hurdles.
Dubbed Megan Lion, Megan Simmons Tapper's love affair with the track was nurtured after being involved for 7 years in gymnastics. Despite her small stature, she dreamt of being a hurdles champion.
I'm 5 feet and 3/4 inches, yes, get it right. Most people look at me and say, oh, you're too short, oh, you can't clear those hurdles, but I can. With God, anything is possible. Keep your head on your shoulders, believe only the positive things, keep positive, keep focused, and if you have a dream, go for it. Don't let anybody bring you down. And as we all know, put God first.
Intense training woven with natural ability will make dreams come true for some and set records for others.
It was hard, but it's motivating and inspiring, and I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Megan Tapper's dreams became reality at the Tokyo Olympics. She electrified the world when she dug deep to stave off the challenges of other Olympic hopefuls in the 100-meter hurdles at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic. In a dramatic sprint finish, she mined bronze. In so doing, she became the first Jamaican woman to win a medal in the sprint hurdles at the Olympics.
At the start of my race, I was just thinking to execute. Matthew beforehand told me to just don't focus on anybody else in the race, just run your own race. And that's why I was so focused on the screen afterwards, because after a race I usually see, like, I have an idea of where I placed, but I literally had no idea except that Jasmine won. So I was completely focused, like what Matthew told me to do. And my coach, Philip, also told me to get the start right and get the finish right, because in the heats I got the finish right, in the semis I got the start right, but now it was time to put them together. So I was just focusing on executing.
Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sports, Olivia Grange, along with Megan's family members, were on hand to welcome her home after her amazing run.
I'm so extremely proud of her, you know, and she has made history. And I think that Jamaica's saying, we're little but we're Talawa, in the true sense, Megan for her size, against all these world-renowned athletes, has done extremely well. She has won the bronze, and for us, it's like she has won the gold. We're so proud of her. And I had to find the time to come, along with the Honorable Minister of State, Alonda Terrell, to just be here for her and to greet her and to welcome her back home. Jamaica is extremely proud of her.
It's an honor to be here with Minister Grange to welcome home Megan Tapper. I mean, her accomplishment at the Olympic Games, I mean, it has made her family proud and, of course, all Jamaica. We salute her. We're extremely proud of her. As it relates to all our athletes, I'm particularly proud of them. You know, they're all Olympians, they're all champions, and we embrace them. I mean, whether it's gold, silver, bronze, or just to be in the finals, or just to have competed, they're all Olympians, and by virtue of being Olympians, that makes them champions. And I'm super proud of every single one of them.
With the win under her belt, Megan Lyon Tapper hopes to continue, bursting out of the blocks and leaping hurdles to win more medals.
Less possibility.
For the news on PBCJ, I am Marlon Samuels.
And that's our package. You've just watched the news on PBCJ, the People's Station.